Alright, people, it's banner time. Are these ships worth pulling for? Let's find out. So, these ships this time around, meh. But there is one interesting one. I think most of you guys probably know who it is. There is one interesting ship from this batch. So I'll talk about her in a bit. So, as always, let's start off in order, guys. Starting with Formi. So Formi's been around for like, I think 2 years now. Once again, a Royal Navy ship, and her as well too, in another Italian event. That's crazy. It's as if Royal Navy ships are the minority this time around in this game. That's kind of weird. I know. I know. It's kind of weird, right? Anyways, though, I'm not gonna talk too much about Formidable. She's been around for quite a while now. Basically, all you need to know is that back then she was pretty damn good. Her kit is really, really good back then. But nowadays she's showing her age and her fatness as well too. So she may not be the best carrier nowadays. She was really good back then, but she's still pretty good. Obviously, though, when you use forming, you want to have the Fairy Albacore planes because it gives additional efficiency to her, whatchamacallit, her kit. So, well, not that part. Fairy Albacore, I mean, you get the flood thingy. Okay, my bad. It's been a while since I used her. But you want to make sure you have that purple Fairy Albacore plane. I think you can get one in this event. I'm not sure. Probably not. Well, I can look right now, actually. But I don't think you can. So, yeah, I don't know how you can get the Fairy Albacore nowadays. I think you can still make... I don't even know. Actually, I gotta look at this. How do you get Fairy Albacores nowadays? Gear Lab. Oh, it's in Gear Labs now. Perfect. So you just make one from the Gear Labs. Alright, so we're good there. Make one from the Gear Labs. And it's pretty good. I wouldn't use it for bossing. I wouldn't use it for all that stuff. But she's still pretty good for like just the usual. Just I need a carrier for this scenario. Actually, for bossing, she's not that terrible. I did use her in that one hermit fight when I did like 120 SSR ships only. Like 3 months ago. Not like terrible, but there's definitely better options out there nowadays, though. Definitely showing her age in the kit department. But as for waifus, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with her and her memes, so she will not be irrelevant for a while, for years to come even. Everyone loves the fat bird. Now, the second ship here, Impero. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys can tell from the length of her kit how crazy it is, even for 2 skills. Yeah, it is. It's pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy kit. So let's talk about kit. Health 7,000, pretty up there. Pretty up there. Aviation 429. This is 120, by the way. 429, not bad. Anti-air 331, not bad as well too. Reload 121, a little bit on the slower side, but I think that's still relatively really good because of her kit. Evasion 45, normal, speed 30, hit 91. I think that's like pretty good. I'm not sure. Luck 32, normal, and oil cost is 13. So stat across the board, pretty good health, pretty good aviation. Already liking it so far. As for gear loadout, 10% efficiency for either fighters or dive bombers. You get to decide. 2 planes in that department. Efficiency for the dive bombers in the second slot, 130% up to 3 planes. And torpedo bombers for the last slot, 130% efficiency with another 3 plane loadout. So pretty normal on that department as well too. Pretty standard efficiency as well too. So nothing like absolutely insane there. Pretty much normal across the board aside from the health. But in terms of base stats and whatnot, pretty normal. Oh, and the best part, +1 permanent aviation, baby. That's what I'd like to see. Now, as for her kit, let's talk about her kit. Increases the ship's aviation by 15%. Off to a good start already. More damage for herself. Always good to see. Now, every 20 seconds, 75% chance to launch a level 10 special airstrike based on the type of aircraft equipped in the ship's first gear slots. Damage is based on skills level. If the aircraft is a fighter, decreases the loading time of this ship's first airstrike by 40%. If it's a dive bomber, when this ship finishes her second airstrike, increases the ship's damage dealt by 60% for 5 seconds. So, this skill right here is very, very unique. Now, judging by this, I would see her as like an Aquila. She has a decreased, well, not Aquila, a carrier of Venito, because Venito also has a cooldown reduction on her first volley, but in this case it's the first airstrike for Impero. So pretty fast. Unfortunately, Marco Polo never got her like shortened volley or whatever, which is what I wanted, but Impero has hers. So fighter slot is pretty good. Get to go fast. Now it's not preload, but it's still relatively pretty fast because of this 40% decrease right here, which is very, very good. If it's a dive bomber, when this ship finishes her second airstrike, increases the ship's damage by 60% for 5 seconds. Now this on paper sounds really good. 60% damage increase. That's like really, really good. But here's the thing. Now, once you finish your second airstrike, it's kind of awkward because I'm assuming the moment you airstrike, you're going to get the buff. But how they word it, it sounds like after you airstrike. Oh, no. It sounds right. Reading comprehensions right there. My bad, guys. Second airstrike, pretty good damage. 60% damage increase right there. That's pretty good, right? But you're going to have to use 2 dive bomber slots. Now, 2 dive bomber slots is generally really good for wave clearing. Now, it's not as good as like double parallel torpedo bombers for wave clearing. But double dive bombers is also really good as well, because I talked about Saratoga back in the day like a lot, and how she's really good at wave clearing because she has the little guns and the double dive bomber slots. She's also really cheap on oil as well too. This is not bad for wave clearing at all. A lot of damage, 60% plus the 15% from her aviation, not to mention the another 15% from the second skill, which I'll talk about in a bit. Dive bombers is pretty good. If you're looking for like just a better Saratoga or something, pretty good in that department. I like that kid a lot. Now, if I were to use her though, I would definitely use her with the fighters because the AP rockets nowadays that you get from PR4 Research are really, really good planes. The issue is that she has low efficiency in the fighter slot or first slot, and there's only 2 planes, so you won't get that much value from it. But fighter is still really good here, so I like it. Now, the second skill right here increases the ship's damage dealt by 15%. 15% damage increase for free. I'll take it. That's a lot of damage right there. Now, here comes the Yu-Gi-Oh! Effect card stuff in the second skill. 10 seconds after the battle starts, and every 20 seconds after that, while a ship in your main fleet has between 20% and 90% HP remaining, 1. If this ship has the highest percentage health of all ships in your main fleet, and there are at least 2 ships in the main fleet, deduct 5% HP from this ship and heals your main fleet. Ships with the lowest percentage HP, except this ship, for the amount of HP deducted from this ship. So it is pretty much a sacrifice heal. There's a lot of words to this for just I'm just gonna heal other ships in exchange for my health. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If this ship does not have the highest HP percentage HP, deduct 5% HP from your main fleet ship with the highest percentage HP to heal this ship for the amount of HP deducted from the other ship. Whichever ship is healed as a result of this skill has an evasion increased by 15% for 5 seconds. If the ship healed is from the Italy Empire, the amount healed is increased by 183. So, the TLDR of this skill is basically Pain Split. The Pokemon move Pain Split. So what happens is, if you guys play Pokemon or maybe like Grand Blue Fantasy, the moon summon, essentially it takes it tries to even out the health of all the ships in the back line. So like if one ship is like 100 or 90%, one ship is like 30%, they try to like, now it's not going to be even on the dot, but it's going to be like take some of my health to heal yourself and so forth. It kind of just balances out in that department. It's not like an actual heal, because you're taking health from one ship and moving it to another ship. But it's kind of like a I guess a unique skill in the sense that like uh but like okay, it's unique in the sense that the ship gets buffed if the second part gets fulfilled. Now obviously this is the part where you want to proc if you are gonna use her for like that for the healing and whatnot. You want to have her have low HP. So if you want to have low HP, generally you want to have them as a flagship, I think, because I think flagship takes like the most damage when you do like most content nowadays. So having her as flagship means she's gonna like take other health from other people and they get buffs or whatever, right? This is a very interesting kit. It's not like an actual heal. Like there is some healing, but like not. It's not like a actual heal. It's just like moving health across one ship to another. But it's an interesting kit. It's a lot of reading, but it's an interesting kit. Now this ship has a lot of damage, a lot of damage. How I see this ship and how you want to use her is primarily if I'm gonna use this ship, it's gonna be like she can fit in like a lot of scenarios like OS, general content like campaign, event farming as well too. She can pretty much fit a lot of niches like for 1-1 farming, just a regular ship in a full fleet as well too. She can also be a decent, I guess decent, quote unquote decent healer, good wave clear, and all that. Not a bad ship, not a bad ship. I think most of the uniqueness from this ship is, although her second skill is very unique, I think most of the uniqueness from this ship comes from the fact that she gets a lot of buffs, a lot of buffs. If you're running dive bombers, you get like 15% aviation, you get a 60% damage increase for 5 seconds, and you get an additional 15% damage increase. That's a lot. That's a lot. On papers, this sounds really good. I'm personally gonna try her out because I got maxed her out for the permanent 1 aviation regardless. I don't think she's that bad. I think she's really good. I'm definitely gonna work on her, see how she turns out. I don't think she's a bad ship. If I were to use her, I would do like maybe Aquila, Perseus, Impero for like OS farming. Now you can do Richelieu, whatever, but I think carriers is just way better because it syncs better with like Kazugumo, syncs better with my Bishimaru cats and stuff like that. It won't be like that awkward outlier where it's like, all right, I'm running 2 carriers and 1 battleship, and I can't get a good team fleet going around that kind of build or whatever, right? So I use Bishimaru, I use Kazugumo or something, and I can just run a full carrier backline. Not to mention, I said that she'll be pretty good in the flagship department. So I'll do Impero as a flagship with Aquila and Perseus on the side. That sounds pretty good to me. So this ship right here, I like her. I like her a lot. Definitely gonna work on her and see how she turns out as well too. Now, Pompeo Magno. Now, again, DDs. Now, before anyone says, Kimo, I know you hate DDs, man. You're racist against DDs. It's true. I don't like DDs in this game because they have low health pool. Now, they have pretty good, like, weak fleet or weak mob damage. They're really good against things with low HP, right? Because they just, like, spray out and spew out damage nonstop to clear those trash mobs. So, yes. That's generally what Pompeo is going to be. Everything across the board, maybe a little bit on the health as well too, is pretty good. The health is nice. Everything else is like generic. 218 health, firepower 112. I think that's like kind of low. I think that's kind of low. Whatever. Torpedo 340, kind of average. I think a little bit on the lower side, but kind of average. Anti-air 157. Reload 207. Nice. Evasion 200 as well too. Nice. Speed 51. Accuracy is 219, luck is 75, anti-sub 207, and oil cost is 10. So, average. I'm going to say is average. DD gun efficiency, 120%. Torpedoes, 135%. Anti-air guns, 135%. Again, not like amazing, but like it's like average, I'd say. Now, let's talk about the kit. 5 seconds after the battle starts, every 20 seconds after that, spawns a special summon, lasts 15 seconds, inflicts a unique burn ailment to enemies, and decreases the accuracy of all enemies by 20% for 5 seconds. Now, I think if there's one thing this game lacks a lot of, it's debuffs. Now, I'm not saying like slows. Now, I'm not like slows are a debuff, but it's not like it doesn't like debuff combat stats. Now, movement could be a combat stat, yes, But I'm talking like defense, attack debuff, accuracy debuff, stuff like that. I don't think there's enough of those in this game, and we definitely need more of those because I like debuffs as well too. Obviously, there's a lot of buffers in the game, but we definitely need more debuffs. So this skill right here, I like it. I like it a lot. Now I gotta see how that special summon turns out. I think like it drops on their side or whatever, the enemy side, and then it just burns enemies. So that's pretty unique. I like that skill. Obviously it's on a destroyer, and I'm not a big fan of destroyers, but that skill right there, pretty unique. I like the skill a lot. With victory comes glory. During a sortie, for each enemy fleet sunk by the fleet this ship is in, increases this ship's firepower and torpedoes by 5%, stacks up to 3 times, so 15% for firepower and 15% for torpedoes. Increases the ship's damage dealt with torpedoes based on her proximity to the enemy at the time of firing. The closer she is, the more damage they deal, up to a maximum of 15% when within 10 units or less. So it's kind of like a pseudo torpedo, a torpedo DD, a pseudo one. Now, obviously, IGN DDs like KimoCheese and what's her name, the Skunk Girl. I forgot her name, the Skunk Girl. Oh god, I forgot her name. The Skunk Girl, Jinsu, stuff like that. Ibuki. There's better Vanguard torpedoers out there. So this is kind of like a pseudo torpedo DD, not a really amazing one. So I'm not a huge fan of this kit because it's one of those like knock down a fleet, stack it up, stuff like that. And then just like torpedoes, like kind of like whatever. And all out assault is alright or whatever too. So again, destroyer I'm not a big fan of, and you guys can see why. Like this kit for the most part is like kind of whatever. The first skill is actually really interesting. I'm very curious about this one. Really good for cheap farming, very good for events as well too. So this ship though, it's like alright. It's like a regular DD with like a yellow skill to it, like this yellow skill right here. So I like this skill. This one sticks out the most to me. Everything else though, meh. It's just another destroyer to me, so it's kind of whatever. And Trieste, the scuff Mashu of FGO. She also reminds me of a hentai game character I played like a while back. I'm not gonna talk much about that one, but I'm not talking about much about that one. Anyways, in terms of skills, health 364, 3600, that's very low. Firepower 239, torpedo 190, anti-air 192, reload 165, evasion 71, speed 28, accuracy 118, luck 48, and so forth. So there's a lead right here. Again, for the most part at least, I don't find it interesting because their skills are very lacking, so I'm not very interested in this ship for the most part. She has a lot of kit about like healing and like damage reduction and whatnot for the first skill. And then she has a flare. Flares are interesting because flares are usually for like World 14 stuff, because that's like the first real content where you need flares. But the issue is like you wouldn't want to run a heavy cruiser in World 14 to begin with, because they're not really good on dealing with submarines. So even if she does have a flare, like I wouldn't bring her. Like if I really want a meat shield, I'll bring like Azuma or E-Girl or Kronstadt or Drake even. Yeah, I just wouldn't bring her because she lacks a lot for a heavy cruiser. Even though her kit is a flare, I don't think flares are that amazing. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of that. And then all out assault for if she has a gear or Italy gear equipped, decreases reload or reload for a barrage or whatever. It's kind of whatever. Yeah, this kid is like meh. I'm just not a fan of Elise to begin with and such. So kind of whatever. Now, in terms of ships and how I rank them, for me, again, she was really good for her time a while, like 2 years ago. Nowadays, there are better options out there for carriers. Like you guys can tell right here. Like look at Formi right here. Look at Impero. Like Impero just has way more health compared to Formi, like almost 600. More aviation, more reload, more anti-air, lower on the evasion though. Formi has more evasion in this department, but it's like this is a you get tell Impero is a 2022 ship, whereas Formi is like a 2020 ship. Like you can easily, or 2019, my bad. I think it's 2019. Yeah, you can definitely see the age in that department. So still okay for a ship. She has her memes and whatnot. I don't think she's like that terrible, but she has seen better days. Definitely on the average department. Now Impero I think is actually really good. Now she may not be the best on bossing because her selection is kind of wild. You wouldn't run two dive bombers for a boss fleet to begin with because they're very RNG dependent. So you don't know when you're gonna hit all your dive bombers and whatnot. So I'm not a big fan of using double dive bombers. If you run fighters slot, the issue here is that because you have the first airstrike is 40% faster, it doesn't line up with Helena. And I know a lot of people play on auto, so that's 100% not going to line up. Meaning, for the most part, you're going to fall off on damage. So for boss content, not that amazing. Now, boss content with double dive bombers, I guess that could work, but you're not going to see better performance than like Enterprise or like Arc Royal or stuff. So Impero for bossing, I wouldn't say is amazing, but for like OS, even World 14, campaign, event farming and stuff like that, she's really good. I think her kit is really, really good. She has so much damage increases. She has a Yu-Gi-Oh effect healing over here on the yellow skill. She can go really fast as well too with the fighter slot, or you can go all damage with double dive bombers, good for wave clearing. Good ship. Not the best for bossing, but definitely a good ship. I like it a lot. Now Pompeo, again, you can call me a DD racist. I don't care. I don't find this ship absolutely game breaking, like amazing. Now the first skill I think is very fun and looks unique, and I actually like this skill a lot. But for the most part, I think she has like fake IJN bursting with Torpedo Vanguard for her second skill. But again, she's not IJN, so she lacks a lot of buffs for torpedoing. And she needs a whole team around that as well too. Not a big fan. Not a big fan of that department. But you can still use her for event farming, so pretty so good on that department. And Trieste, probably butchered that name. Hentai character, I don't care. Lacks a lot of stats. The kit is alright, except the second skill, which makes I don't like flares on like heavy cruisers to begin with for like World 14. Low stats, not a big fan, and whatnot. Alright. So the big takeaway from this banner. The must-have for this banner is gonna be Impero. I'm gonna say it right now. She's really good. I think she's really good. I'm gonna start adding her into my OS fleet again. I'm doing Impero, Perseus, Aquila for a 3 carrier because I think that's gonna be really fun and that's gonna be very interesting. Good to have is going to be Formi and Pompeo because again they have the SSR tag to their name, and they also have like some kind of uniqueness to their kit, so it's not like absolutely terrible. So if you're like lacking kind of like a DD, you're lacking like carrier damage and whatnot, these ships are good fillers if you really need them. And as for Trieste, if you like her, grab her. Honestly, I should throw her into like the nice to have because at level 120 she has +1 firepower to heavy cruiser, which means if you use like Drake or something, that's +1 firepower to Drake. So, all right, no ships that you like. If you like them, pull for them. They're all nice to have or they're must have. No, all of them are okay. I'll say that right now. All of them are okay. There's no bad choices here. Just pull for all of them. It's 4 ships anyways. Well, 3 for veterans, but 4 ships on the banner. Easy banner. Enjoy the video, guys. I'll see you on the next one as always.